Thank you, Chairman Durbin. This committee has a constitutional obligation to ensure that the department complies with the laws that we write and execute those laws according to our intent. In the performance of our constitutional duty, we write letters seeking answers and records from the department and its component agencies to better understand what they're doing. Likewise, the entire executive branch, not just DOJ, has an obligation to respond to congressional oversight requests. Today, I can say with confidence that under General Garland's leadership, the department has failed across the board to comply with this committee's Republican oversight request, and I appreciate very much Chairman Durbin pointing out a letter that he and I wrote. 5 months haven't received an answer. If my name being on that letter has any reason it hasn't been responded to, I'll take my name off of that letter. In contrast, General Garland, you've provided Democrat colleagues with thousands of pages of materials. Moreover, President Biden has politicized and inserted himself into the department policymaking, notably directing the end of compulsory process for reporter records in criminal leak investigations, and most recently, inserting himself when he said the department should prosecute anyone who defies compulsory process from the January 6th committee. At your confirmation hearing, I read to you what I told Senator Sessions at his confirmation hearing for being Attorney General this, quote, if Senator Feinstein, who then was ranking member, if Senator Feinstein contacts you, do not use this excuse, as so many people use, that if you are not a chair of a committee, you do not have to answer the questions. I want her questions answered just like you would answer my questions. End of quote that I gave to Senator Sessions. So you said to me at your hearing, quote, I will not use any excuse to not answer your questions, Senator, end of quote. You have failed to satisfy that statement. Example, I've asked the Department for records relating to Hunter Biden's October 2018 firearm incident, where his gun ended up in a trash can near a school. Now that's a firearm incident. Your ATF used the Federal Freedom of Information Act to refuse producing those records when that law doesn't even apply to the Congress. I've also asked for information relating to Chinese nationals linked to the communist Chinese regime that are connected to the Biden family. One individual, Patrick Ho, was not just linked to Chinese regime, he was apparently connected to that country's intelligence service. Hunter Biden reportedly represented him for $1 million. Now, even though the department already made public in court filings that DOJ possesses FISA information relating to Patrick Ho, in response, you stated, quote, unfortunately, under the circumstances described in your letter, we are not in a position to confirm the existence of the information that is sought if it exists in the department's possession. Well, let me emphasize, well, you already made it public in a court filing. So you're telling me you can't even confirm its existence. Now, with respect to the criminal investigation of Hunter Biden, Senator Johnson and I wrote to you twice this year regarding a person named Nicholas McQuaid. Mr. McQuaid was employed at a law firm until January 20th, 2021, when he was hired to be then acting Assistant Attorney General for the department's criminal division. Before he was hired, he worked with Christopher Clark, who Hunter Biden reportedly hired to work on his federal criminal case a month before President Biden's inauguration. Now, the department hasn't disputed any of these facts. However, you refuse to confirm whether Mr. McQuaid recused from the Hunter Biden case. That seems to be a pretty simple thing to say one way or the other. The son of the President of the United States is under criminal investigation for financial matters. A senior attorney under your command has apparent conflicts with that matter. Your refusal to answer just threshold questions cast a very public cloud over the entire investigation, a cloud that you should easily do away with if you were just a little bit transparent. When I placed holds on your nominees for the department's failure to comply with Republican oversight requests, I said either you run the Department of Justice or the department runs you. Right now, it looks like the Department of Justice is running you. Since your confirmation, in less than a year, the department has moved as far left as it can go. You've politicized the department in ways it shouldn't be. Case in point, your infamous school board memo. You publicly issued this memo merely 5 days after the National School Board Association wrote a letter to President Biden. Now, incredibly, they asked the department to use the Anti-Terrorist Patriot Act against parents speaking their minds to local school officials. The School Board Association has since apologized for that letter, but not before the department relied on their letter to mobilize federal law enforcement in state and local matters. Meanwhile, actual violent crime is on the rise in the country. Your memo treats parents speaking freely to be worthy of the department's heavy investigative and prosecutorial hand. You've created a task force, that includes the department's criminal division and national security division to potentially weaponize against parents. Your memo also creates a special training and guidance for local school boards and school administrators to recognize threats against them. According to your memo, these threats include an undefined category of quote-unquote other forms of intimidation and harassment. So now, the last thing the Justice Department and FBI need is a very vague memo to unleash their power, especially when they've shown zero interest in holding their own accountable. I don't, when you don't hold your own accountable, let's not forget about Obama-Biden administration FISA abuse during Crossfire Hurricane. Abuses that the department and the FBI for years denied even to be possible. And then you allowed a disgraced former FBI official off the hook, paying him hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxpayers' money, when the Inspector General determined that he lied to investigators 7 times. Yes, 7 times over the course of 3 different occasions. Or the FBI's and the department's total failure to protect hundreds of kids from abuse by Larry Nassar and then covered it up when we had a bipartisan hearing to learn about those courageous survivors. Your Deputy Attorney General didn't even show up. So getting back to the National School Board Association matter, these parents are trying to protect their children. They're worried about divisive and harmful curricula based upon critical race theory. They're speaking their minds about mass mandates. This is the very core of constitutionally protected speech, and free speech is deadly to the tyranny of government and is the lifeblood of our constitutional republic. To say your policies are outside of the mainstream would be an understatement. Mothers and fathers have a vested interest in how schools educate their children. They are not, as the Biden Justice Department apparently believes them to be, national security threats. What is a national security threat is things like MS-13. What is a national security threat is like our open southern borders. What is a national security threat is the federal government's failing to adequately vet individuals from Afghanistan. I suggest that you quickly change your course because you're losing credibility with the American people and with this senator in particular. Thank you.
Thanks, Senator Grassley. We